In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to deal with some technical issues when it comes to Bernat Blanket Yarn. So many people write me and say, you know, what happens is that they're using this yarn and all of a sudden they run out of yarn, and what they try to think they're going to do is that they're going to frog themselves all the way back out, and if you're working with an Afghan, you can end up with quite a bit of yarn that you would classify as garbage, but you don't have to. You can keep every inch of it. So what you can just do is that I've purposely cut my yarn on purpose so I can show you what to do. So we're gonna chain up 3, so 1, 2, 3, and I'm gonna be crocheting and minding my own business and stuff, and I'm just gonna crochet along, and then all of a sudden I realize that I've run out of yarn. Okay, so what you want to do, let me just stop here, is that you know that you're gonna run out of yarn real soon, just like this. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna go into the next stitch and I'm gonna start it. So going in, so this is how you would change color midline as well. So you can just pull through and hold this. So you don't want to finish it. So you got 3 loops on the hook, you have this yarn left over. So what you're gonna do is that you're gonna grab the new yarn and you do not create a slip knot. You just simply just have to loop it around your hook. And so instead of using the regular yarn to pull through to finish your double crochet or any other stitches that you're working with, you're gonna use this loop to finish it off. And you're gonna allow your straggler of the new yarn plus the yarn that you're just finishing off and just leave it down on top of the line. So let's finish off that stitch as is, pretending that there's nothing wrong. So these 2 stragglers, right, what you can do is that you can hide these in so wonderfully, it's crazy actually. So you're gonna wrap the yarn, and when you go into the next stitch you wanna make sure that you leave those 2 strands down on top of the line, and this strand is gonna come over top of it and hold it into position right underneath the stitch. With this yarn you can barely even notice it's there. That's what's so fabulous about this, especially if you're doing the snuggle sacks and stuff. Really quite easy. So you're gonna go about a couple inches or so. You can go a little bit longer if you wish, and once you're satisfied with it, then what you can just do is just trim out the remaining right to the project. So I'm gonna be satisfied. Let's just say for argument's sake I'm satisfied. The 2 stragglers are still hanging out, and I can safely now just cut those right there, and I can continue to mind my own business in working on the project, going back and forth, and you barely even notice it's even there. Isn't that cool? So that's how you can change yarn if it happens to run out in the middle of a line, just like that. And so you can go from one ball to another, and really it's quite seamless. So let's move on, and I'm gonna show you how to change colors with this yarn. So let's say I want to do a stripe of a different color, or I can do multiple different colors, or I'm just tired of this color and I want to switch off. So what I like to do at the end, they say normally in tutorial patterns or any kind of patterns that the final stitch becomes the new yarn. So you can do it 2 ways. You can either just loop on the new yarn like this and then start fresh. Okay, so if you were to do it like this, then what's gonna happen is that you're just gonna leave your straggler, so you've got to make sure you cut everything, and just like I just showed you, you put them down on top and then you start the next row. So 1, 2, 3, and then what you have to do is keep those down on top of the line, and then going into the next stitch you just see this gray just goes right up over top of it like that. So that's how you could actually finish off a line of one color move into another. Now I kinda have this phobia, which is kind of very unjustified I have to say, of my yarn strands falling out. So what I like to do technically is I like to fasten off completely when I go to change colors. So you're gonna notice it's kinda a little bit loosey-goosey here, so before you do anything just make sure that you just pull on these, and that will pull any slack. Okay, you don't want to go crazy and yank on it. You just want to make sure that it's gonna be right underneath and there's no slack hanging out. So once you're satisfied about a couple inches or so, you can just safely cut that yarn then right down to the project. Okay, so once you get everything finalized and etc., everything just is really quite nice, and then you just continue on using your gray and minding your own business. So that's one way to change from one color to another when it comes to all these different projects. But I like to actually fasten off. So what I would do, if it were me, this is what I tend to always do, is that when I get to the end of the line I stop and I trim my yarn completely and I pull through the loop like that, and I'm just gonna weave this in and out of some of the stitch work. So when I'm weaving them out of the stitch work, I make sure that the next time I go across this is that when I go into the stitch, that's also part of it, so it gets stuck underneath. So this is the way I prefer to do it for myself. And once I'm satisfied, I just leave it in there, and then I'll trim that after I pass by it again. So then what I do is that I grab my next color and I create a slip knot. This is how I like to change my colors. Create a slip knot first, and then I just join it to the top of the first one like so, and I just put the straggler over top, or the yarn leading to the ball over top, and I keep this straggler down, and I'm gonna chain up 3. 1, 2, 3, and then I can go safely across. I wanna make sure that that one again is down on top of the line. That's how I prefer to do it. It's up to you on how you have, everybody has their own method, and that's how I kinda really like to get my work done when it comes to all this. So once I get past the one that has been woven in, so here's the gray, I just safely just trim out whatever's left hanging out, because I know that because I've gone in over top of it, then I know that it's pretty well safely in place. So what I do is that I wait till the end, so I just push it in behind. I don't see it anymore, out of sight out of mind, and then when I go to finish the line and I turn my project, that's when I trim it before I start up the next row. I'm the kind of person I like to take care of my tail ends as I go instead of waiting to the very end of the project. So that would be how you do that. You can change colors that way. So how can you weave in your ends if you're scared that they're gonna fall out? So when it comes to the end of the project, you can't really just weave in your ends with this kind of yarn. It's too thick, because it's just honestly gonna fall out. So what you're gonna do is that I've already trimmed my yarn about 12 inches, and I'm gonna pull through the final loop. That loop locks it. It'll never come out unless you try to unravel it yourself. So what I'd like to do is that I like to take this end and I like to feed it through a darning needle, just like this. So the secret to this kind of yarn, or any kind of yarn, is that when you go in and out of your project 3 times, that you can safely hide in your work and it will never fall out. So you want to go in underneath so that it's just gliding underneath the stitches. Okay, so just go about maybe an inch or so, or just across. See, you don't see it on the back end, it's just right down through the middle, and you pull out, pull that out through. You take your time pulling it through, just like this. And what you want to do is that when you pull on it, you don't want to get pull on it to the point where you start deforming the edge. So now that it's on this side, you're gonna go back in the other direction, but in a different path, all the way back out. Whoops. Needle fell off, but my string still remained. Does happen, and I just couldn't feed that back on. Surprisingly, you can squish this yarn so compact to get into the small needle, which I think is amazing on its own. So that was 2, and then I'm gonna go back into a different path then for a 3rd time. So this project can never ever stretch in 3 different directions at one time. Therefore these loose ends will never fall out on you, especially if you're washing and all of that and you got children playing with it. So then you can safely cut it right down into the project, and you can barely see. As a seasoned crocheter you might be able to see it, but it's actually done there, and that's the way to do it properly. So you can do that method as well instead of hiding it and going over the top like I showed you here, and this is a really great way to do it. So this is a really kind of a cool technique. So let me just show you one more concept and we can do something else. So let's say that the pattern asks you to change color midway through a line. So how do you do it? So the way that I like to do it is that I wrap the yarn and I go in as if and then I pull through as if I'm going to change this yarn. So say this yarn was about to run out. I grab the new yarn, I loop it without creating a slip knot, and I pull it and I finish it first, like this. This would be how you would do graph gan work and etc. like that as well. So I'm going to use that as my finish. Oh. So let's say that we had to change our color midline. How do you do it? So people ask me that as well. So let's just say we're gonna go to gray midway through the line. You do graph gans like this and etc. So you can wrap the hook and going in and pull through 2 and hold it. Here's where you're gonna hold. The final loop that you make here is the loop that appears over top of the next one. So the thing about it is that if I do this blue one now, let me show you what happens. If I do the blue one now and then I go to change the yarn, what's gonna happen is that, see this loop here that I just made? The top of everything else will be gray, but the top will not be gray. It will still be blue. So the secret to doing a very nice clean line of this is to stop when you have 2 loops on the hook. Now this obviously is because it's double crochet, but whenever the last item that you pull through it matters on the color. So let's, for example, we wanted to switch it to gray. So what you can just do is push it and pull through the gray through and let the gray fall down on top of the line, and we're gonna trap it. So now this gray then becomes the top of the next stitch. So let's just double crochet using only gray, and I'm gonna go right up over top of the other 2 strands that I have, and I just do a double crochet. So do you see that? That loop that we made is the top of this one. So you can just double crochet all of a sudden to go across. Now what if they asked you to change the color back like it would with the Grafghan? So you would drop your gray and you'd bring back your blue. So bring back the blue up, finish it, because that will be the top of the next line, and then you use the blue dropping down the gray just like this. So this is how you would change colors in midline like that, to give you some really kind of cool effects if you ever had to do that. So what you have to do then is that when you drop the gray here, you leave the gray here so that you can pick it up on the other side, and we have videos on how to do Grafghan work as well. But you can see it does a really good job even with the thick yarn like this to be able to do Grafghans if you're ever looking for that. So that concludes today's video on how to change yarn in the middle of a line, how to change yarn at the end of the line if you had to do color changing, options for being able to weave your items in as well as using a darning needle, and then options if you ever had to change color in the middle of a line. So that's it for now. Have a great day, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye bye.